Okay, I'd like you to stay at home. No, don't stay at home. Go to work. No, work from home. No, if you can go home from work. No, okay. Do what you want. No, do what you want. No, go out. Go in, out, in. No work. Oh, sort it. Just do what you want. Struggling for stuff to do, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am fed up with my car. Look at the colour of it. It's honking. So I thought, what better than to make that matte black? Look, it's a 10, 15-year-old car. No one really cares. I just want it to look a little bit allier than what it does, all right? So when I bought the paint this morning, the geezer says to me it was £60 a tin. I goes, no. I just want to cover the car. He says, well, if you put it in this stuff, it's cheaper. It's only going to last for 3 years. I said, look at the car, mate. Look at the car. Who cares? If it happens, so 52 euros, I've got enough paint and bits and pieces, and what I'm going to do is, let's have a pictures around the car. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mask it all up, okay? It's going to be the quickest job ever. I'm going to sand it down. I ain't worried about finish because it's all in matte black, all right? I'm going to do the whole thing. I'm going to mask the lights out, all those bits and pieces. It's going to be the easiest job I ever did. In a weekend, I'm going to transform my car into the alliest looking little Jeep that I've ever seen, all right? How about that? So all I've got is a normal sander, all right? A normal house type sander. And all I'm doing is taking the lacquer off. I don't have to go mad, all right? The bits I can't get into with the sander, I've got some little pieces of wet and dry, and I'm just gonna cut them and score them in. All you're looking to do is take the shine off, take that lacquer off. I don't have to go back to the metal. There's nothing important here, all right? Because I'm gonna cover it all in black back paint, all right? As you can see, it's a pretty quick process, to be honest. I've been on this for now 15 minutes, if that. But what you've got to notice here, okay, and I didn't realise, where this has been sprayed before, you can see the metal coming through here. I'm going to have to get some primer on that, but I ain't bothered. I'm not bothered what colour primer I use here, I'm really not, because I'm going to matte black the car. I can use any primer I want. The matte black paint I've got is going to cover anything, not a problem. Obviously, I bought this car second hand. I paid about 800 quid for it. And the guy seemed really genuine, and he was a nice bloke. What he didn't tell me was, it has been filled in a few times because I'm finding little spots of filler. And you are going to get those on a car like this. It doesn't matter. What I paid for it was £800 worth of car. What I got was £800 worth of car. There you go. So, 45 minutes in, most of the bonnet, one wing, half a door, and most of the back done. What I wanted to point out to you for 2 seconds is on the side of the car here, we've got things like where the aerial go. Pointless taking that off. I'd have to rewire stuff, I'd have to pull it in, pull it out, all right? Normally, for a proper job, you would take that off. But because this is just a Big Phil's quick job, all right, I'm going to leave it on. I'm just going to mask it off, all right? It'll be the same when you think it's done, honestly, all right? Okay, as you can see, we're not going to get this perfectly. It's not a professional paint job. We can get it looking good. Have a look in here. Look, what we've got is we've got where the car's been sprayed before, we've got where it was sprayed last time, and you're going to have where I'm going to spray it as well. So it's going to be almost 3 different colours if you really look at this car closely. What we're going to try and do is just get the bits that matter to the colour that we want, so it won't show different colours. These bits in here, obviously where there's a crack in the bonnet, you might be able to see these. Now, I'm going to completely cheat here. Because I'm doing it matte black, I'm just going to use Hammerite. And all these pieces here, the insides of the doors, I'm just going to do them all with Hammerite. Hammerite will stick to anything. It is a proper good paint. You can put it anywhere you like. You don't need to prep it even, and Hammerite will stay on there. So because it won't really matter if it can be seen, if it can't be seen, or can be seen, I can put it wherever I like. So the Hammerite, all those little fiddly bits that would normally take hours of masking and all the rest of it, just going to Hammerite them, and it's done. Because like I said, the colours will match. That's the sanding. Let's have a butcher's. All the flat surfaces, easy. The bits that have been a bit complicated on this car, okay, we've had to get into all these little bits here. Again, all this stuff, I'm going to Hammerite the lot, all right? So don't worry about it too much. Again, inside here. It's going to look a mess when the hood's down if it's not black, but it's not the end of the world if it's Hammerite. So follow around the car, stupid little bits like inside there, behind the spare wheel. Oh, you know it. But there you go. That's the sanding done. That took 3.5 hours. That's if I'm generous. How easy is that? Okay, so have a look here. The insides of the doorways, they're an absolute pain, they really are. I don't want to be involved in stripping off rubber and all the rest of the stuff that you'd have to do to get it there. So what I'm going to do is when this is all done, all right, and I've got the car the colour I want it in the main, I'm going to mask it off. I'm going to get a small tin of paint, black, straight in there. Boom, done. All right, job's a good one. Next thing I'm going to do then, wash the thing off. Make sure I get all the dust out of it. Really important, I get this extremely clean now. I don't want stupid little particles getting into my paint job later. All right, then, all I'm going to use is water. But the bits like the wheels and some of the pieces underneath, I'm just going to get a degreaser on there. It just saves a bit of hassle if it gets a bit untidy later. There we go, awesome. As you can see, for a moment, it goes back to its sort of like original colour when it's wet. Don't worry, it will dry proper, and you'll see the work and the effort you put in. You can just see it coming through here, look, there you go. Right, now we've started to prepare for the paint job itself. As you can see now, we're applying primer to anywhere that when we were sanding it has revealed bare metal. If you don't prime it, the chances are the other paint isn't going to protect it well enough. So all I'm doing is protecting any surfaces that went down to bare metal. Once I've done the primer, I should start masking it up. Masking the car then, it's extremely important that everything you mask is done properly, because if it's not and the paint gets through, you're going to have paint where you don't want it to go. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the edges first, okay, because those are the easy bits. So once I've done the edges, okay, I'll then put some newspaper on. So as with the hood here, all right, I've done the edge. Then what I'll do is I'll put a tiny bit of tape onto here, just enough to hold it into place roughly. Okay, so there you go, that's roughly held in place, and then I'll just start blacking it out. There we go, easy guys. And I'll get another piece of newspaper and I'll continue the process all the way around until the whole thing's done. All right, there you go, I'll give you a shout when I've done that. Right, as you can see now, that is the car masked up as well as I can do it. Put black bags on the wheels, I don't want nothing going on those. Everything hood-wise, which is canvas, has been masked off, all the lights and all the windows. And now it's time to go painting. Right, this was the cheapest paint I could get my hands on. And like I say, the bloke said to me, oh, it'll only last 3 years. It's going on that. Okay, so it doesn't matter, does it, all right? So matte black paint, all right, you can't just use paint, you have to use a thinners as well. Dissolve Universal, there you go. 20% of that to a whole tin of that. Let's have a look at it in the pot, all right? That's it, in the pot, mixed up. I even drew the marks on the side of the pot so I get the mixtures right. And then I've run a cable down from the power source. I've got my gun, I've got my compressor. It's all good to go. Let's see how this goes then, shall we? Just quickly, before I dump this stuff on my car, I've got an old transit van here, all right? It's not going anywhere, it's wrecked. Just gonna do a quick panel on here, just to see that my paint comes out all right. Have a go with the texture, make sure it's not running, all that sort of stuff. So a little try before you buy, a little practice. It's my trial run through on the old van here, all right? There we go, trial run through. Always try if you can first, just to see you've got the texture of the paint and all the rest of it. First of all, it's massively important that you get the mix right, because if you don't get the mix right, you're going to get runs, because the paint's got to be the right consistency. Then, as you'll notice, I try and keep the gun moving at all times. If the gun stops, you're going to get a build-up where you don't want it. For the difficult bits, again, I'm building it up in layers. Extremely important that you get this stuff done in layers. Alright, you're not going to get it done one go, and if you try and put too much in one place, you're just going to get horrible runs. So on closer inspection after the first coat, I've kicked the gear up again because I'm going to have to do a second coat. I thought as much, probably even have to do 3, because as you can see, there's some little imperfections, and I ain't having it. I am not having imperfections. I'll just have to keep going. But what I am going to try and get it done is all the painting in a day. You can see now the second coat going on, although it's still shiny at the minute, it looks like it's going to be a lot better. Time to do a bit of cooking. I'm absolutely Hank Marvin again. So right, this week I'm going to make a soup. The beauty about a soup again is I don't have to eat it now. I can freeze it, I can bung it out elsewhere, I can put it in a bag, I can put it in my kit, all sorts of connotation to it. But let's get going. Let's talk about what I'm actually going to do today then. A mushroom soup. Who don't like mushroom soup? You've got no business on this planet if you don't like mushroom soup. So watch out what I'm doing now. Right, okay, so ingredients for this then. You need a stock cube, you need some mushrooms, you need an onion, weights and measures, pea for plenty, alright, as much as you need. There's my stock, I've made that up, I've got some creme fraiche, that will come apparent in a bit of butter, and our friends, lifesavers, salt and pepper. Right, here we go. I'm going to try and do this whole thing in 5 minutes. Absolute miracle if I can, but again, I'm in lockdown, so it don't really matter, does it? There we go. Started right there. First things first then, pan goes on, butter goes in. I'm going to let that melt just slightly, the butter, okay? Like so, there it goes, it's starting to, it melts straight away, doesn't it? There you go, so the butter's starting to melt already. As soon as I've got it melted down, I'm just going to bung all that in, alright? Now, that might look like quite a lump there, that might look like a Huck's load, alright? But it will melt down and reduce very quickly once I get it in here. There we go, that little block of butter, that don't take long to go down whatsoever, okay? So I've already got like a nice little buttery concoction in there already. Right, I'm literally gonna start slapping all this stuff in straight away, alright? Like I say, there's no weights and measures with this whatsoever. It's been pea for plenty from the start, alright? Pea for plenty. As much or as little as you like. And just stir that down, alright? That's gotta be stirred down. And I'm doing that already, and it's already beginning to move. I never fail to make a mess with this either, so there we go. Right, while those are going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and keep stirring and pour a beer at the same time. Okay, so I'm stirring, alright? There we go, I'm stirring. I can keep them going. Wendy told me this wasn't possible earlier. Wendy told me it wasn't. I don't want to burn them to the bottom of the pan because then I am in trouble, alright? Look at him go, stirring and pouring. Who said blokes can't multitask? Oh, they can't multitask that well. But there you go, I spilt a little bit. Back to the job in hand. It don't matter if they're not 100% soft, but you've got to get them a little bit soft. Like RAF soft, not army soft. There we go. I'm sorry, the RAF. I love the RAF, I really do. There we go. Give the stock a stir. Oh, he's messed the 5 minutes, didn't he? There you go, don't matter. Like I say. Look at that, look, multitasking again. Stock and soup at the same time. Unbelievable show, this unbelievable. Look, I'm giving you all my hacks in one go, ain't I? There we go. Right, these are coming on to where they're just about acceptable, I think. There we go. I'm going to start doing this then. I'm going to start doing this now, in fact. Right, there you go. So, in we go to it. Spoon a load of this stuff in it. There you go. I want to try and get about half of this in here. There we go. That's steaming up nicely. You can smell the butter on them mushrooms, I've got to tell you. It's a nice, it's a smell to behold. Here we go, look, here we go. And a little bit of stock. Not too much, you can always fumble about with it afterwards. I don't want to make this too runny. If I make it too runny, it's a life fail, alright? There we go. Make sure you've gone over your 5 minutes now, so it really don't matter if you do or not, right? So I'm going to make sure I do this properly. There you go, you can see it all turning in on itself. When you can't see any lumps left, that's when you're good to go. And I've got another pot there which I'm going to put it in as a sort of like temporary transit pot for the soup as it waits to be done. There you go, look, it's now, look at that, look, it's turning lovely, absolutely beautiful that is now. Turning away. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds of that, like I said, because I ain't bothered about how long it takes. I want to get this nice and creamy and beautiful and nice. There you go. So, bust that out of there. Oh, look at that now, look. Oh yeah, now you're talking. Now you're talking. Now you can see the soup, can't you? Yeah, now you can see the soup. That goes back on there. Got some more of this in here. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this already. It's making me mouth water, it really is. There you go, let's get a load of this in there. To be honest, right, for the amount of mushrooms and that we had, right, we ain't got a whole heap of soup, have we? There we go, get all that like that there. In it goes. Sip of beer. Oh, it's nice and cold. A little bit more of that. Like I say, the key to this is I can always put more in, but I can't take it out, can I? That can go on top of it. Don't forget that bit, because if you don't go flying out the top of it. There you go. It's quite satisfying watching those little mushrooms go down, isn't it? It's like I'm murdering the mushrooms, and they're in my big thick soup. Here they go. The last one's like, don't blend me. But he's being blended, he's gone, isn't he? Get down! There you go. If you play around with the speed, gives it a chop, stop, chop, stop. There you go. Now it's turning. Now we're turning and burning. All right. Now we're good. So you can see that now. It's moving itself around. There's no big lumps left. So as you see it tip around, there's no big lumps. There we go. Right. What I'm going to quickly do now is I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to get this one. And I'm just going to put that straight in there. Like so. I want to get all that out if I can. It's not absolutely the end of the earth if I don't get it all out. There we go, so that's that there. At this stage of the campaign then, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Could have argued that could have gone in before, it don't matter. It's the beauty about cooking yourself, isn't it? I'll be the judge of when I put it in, how about that? There we go, so that's now turning on here. But what we need, this is the bit that finishes it off. This is creme fraiche. On its own, it's absolutely honking, alright? But a couple of large teaspoons of creme fraiche in there like so. And then I'm going to turn those in, alright? And that really will be such a nice soup. Alright, there it goes. In it goes. This ain't lumpy, it's smooth. It's a beautiful soup. Just got to stir that in. Whilst it, like I say again, it's going to be a little bit lumpy. Okay, so where do we go from now then? This is more or less my soup done. It's a nice consistency. Like I say, now we've got that cream in it as well. It's creamy, there's no lumps. It's a beautiful thing to have. I can freeze this again. I can stick it in a bag. I can bring it out. I can use it. I can take it out into the field in a bag again and heat it up. I said the boil in the bag stuff, okay? It's a great thing to have. You freeze it and put a stick in it, have like a mushroom lollipop, couldn't you? And there you go. Big Phil's mushroom soup. Look at that there. Oh. Oh, that's on another level. That's on another level. Ridiculously nice. Right, I'm going to go and get that eaten. Take me plonk with me this time. Come back with a bowl. I've used a bit of decent olive oil there on top just to finish it off, and I'll tell you why, because my doctor says I should take a teaspoon of olive oil every day and not cook it. So there you go, it's in there today. You could use a truffle oil, or any oil you want, a bit of chilli oil. It's lovely, just rounds it off. Anyway, I'm off with this now. See you in a bit. This week's Who Dares Wins In, episode number 3 I think it was, and it was entitled Weakness. Right, let's have a look at it from the top. Weakness, straight away, what does that conjure up? Weakness. Well, it's a good thing for a soldier to understand his weaknesses, because if you understand your weaknesses, you know where you can build up on. You know where you need to pay attention and where you need to do extra work, okay? So it's a good thing. And when SAS staff are looking at their candidates and looking at their recruits and people who could potentially serve alongside them, they want to know your weaknesses. It's not necessarily to say, well, you're no good, we're not having you, but it's to say we can identify this and therefore we know that we need to do this, all right? No big shakes whatsoever. So, they get them up nice and early in the morning, right out of their old mess tin and all that sort of stuff. Everyone's out of bed. Nice. I love getting up early, so that's not a problem for me. And they're straight down and they're off to do the regain. Now, the regain. What is a regain? It's a rope, a length of rope, a single piece of rope, okay? And as Ollie demonstrated, he crawls along it, gets to a point where he stops, okay? So he's on top like leopard crawling across it, okay? He hangs off the rope underneath, okay? He swings back on, rolls back up and goes along. It looks fairly simple when you've got someone who knows what they're doing it. That said, it's probably not even looked at in Marine Commando training for the first couple of weeks at least. And once you learn how to do it, you're not tested on it until I think the end of the bottom field test or something like that in your Marine Commando course. It's not something you just go up and do a regain. You need to practice. You need to have plenty of time swinging about on a rope, learning how to do it. Now, I don't think, judging by what we saw, that any of these people got any time whatsoever to learn. So number 1, okay, they were being asked to do a regain on a very high rope with no warm-up whatsoever, all right? That is a pretty nails task on its own, right? Not something that I put my hand on my heart. I wouldn't have been able to do it just by watching Ollie do it. All right, I needed some practice, and when you do it down at Livingston, they've got ropes you can practice on and all that sort of stuff. All right, it's not the given you're going to pull this off, and hence all of them, everyone to a man, woman, failed this task. None of them did it. So what were we looking for? We were just looking for the nails in them to get them across that rope and attempt it. Okay, so the ones that stood out for me, Laura. Now don't forget, she's up there with half an arm missing. So from the very start, that is an absolute impossibility being asked of her, I thought. She had a right go at it. She gets out there, she's on there, she's fighting. It doesn't work out for her. She falls off the rope, she's onto the safety harness. But what a great attempt. What a great display of determination and grit. We then get the others. We get Locksmith. He does all right. Not a bad attempt. In fact, a pretty gutsy attempt. But none of them seem to struggle with the height thing whatsoever until we get to our friend Bellew, all right? Now Bellew obviously doesn't want to do it. He's crawling about, he's shaking like a dog having a plop, all right? He does not want to touch this rope. He is absolutely out of his league on it. What does that tell us? Well, I could see a few comments on social media sniggering at that. Snigger no more, okay? Because the man still got on the rope and he still went out there, all right? Now that, and I used to have a colour sergeant in the regiment who used to say to me that the man that doesn't like parachuting but still jumps out of a plane gets more respect than the man who enjoys parachuting and jumps out of the plane. You know where I'm coming from with this, don't you, all right? It takes kahunas to get on there if you don't like to do it, okay? And he didn't like to do it, and he still did it. So that takes massive, massive kudos from me, and he did well. He gets across the other side, he comes off the rope during the regain. Well, that was to be expected. I didn't expect any of them to do a regain. When he gets to Billy, Billy's there, get yourself up here, son, he struggles a little bit. Now, the longer he hangs, the worse it's going to be, because you're tiring all the time and all that sort of stuff. Billy is trying to encourage him up, and he comes out with quote of the week, and he says, "Fall now, and you'll break the ground." Now, that's cool humour from Billy, because what he's doing, he's nullifying the predicament that he's in, and he's just making it normal. He's coming out of a bit of a quip, all right? So that was good. That was a great bit of DSing from Billy then. He's just normalising the situation so that your man doesn't feel so bad. And actually after that, because otherwise, don't forget, Billy would probably have to drag him up there himself. Now, I don't know what he weighs, but Billy was a lump. He's got to be at least 18 stone, hasn't he? And to drag him up there on you, I wouldn't have fancied that, and I don't think Billy would either. But anyway, he gets him up, so he's off. So that was that. That was the first one. Ant made a valid point at the very beginning of that. Attention to detail. Attention to detail. This comes up a lot in Special Forces soldiering. Forget about all the bursting through doors, windows and all the rest of it, all right? If you can't get the simple things right, be out there at the right time with the right kit, doing the right thing, you've got no chance. And attention to detail was brought up in that at the very beginning, all right? Okay then, task 2 then. Task 2, they move on to a proper beasting, all right? The DS are looking to get rid of people now. They give them a good beasting in the yard. Again, Tony's struggling with this. Mr. Bellew, he's struggling. He's banging his head on the floor. He's going nuts at the, you know, he doesn't like it, okay? It's beginning to show through. Now, I think he's still a strong contender, is your man, but I think he's got to contain a few of he's getting a little bit personal with some of the tasks he's been given. Don't take it personally, just do it. And if you're struggling, grit your teeth and still do it, all right? That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for displays of people bouncing their heads off the floor and grumbling and screaming and crying, because that's not going to get the job done, all right? So if you're getting a beasting, take the beasting. I remember getting a beasting myself when I was on selection, and basically what happened was they were running as we were getting acclimatised for the jungle, right? And we were on this beach and we were running, and we set off and we were told we had to stay with the DS. Now the DS that we had on the day was a lung on legs. He could run, that man could run, all right? There was no chance I would ever have caught him in a million years. So of course when we hit the beach and the old sands hit the legs, he's taking off. He was sprinting, all right? He was running faster than I could sprint from the off. So by the time I've even sort of like got my grip on the sand, he's already gone. And I'm thinking to myself, no chance, absolutely no way. But you know what I did? Although I knew I was never going to catch him, I just kept going as fast as I could, and when I got in, all right, he got in 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes before me. But because I never give up, the DS saw. No, he stuck to it, he didn't give up, he didn't get disheartened because he wasn't with the pack and all that sort of stuff, he kept going. And probably saved my bacon, to be honest, because I was longing it, I really was. Anyway, I've strayed away from the ball, I'll pick it up again. Right, so, they had a little bit of a beasting, team task. Now, as I talked about last week with the recruits from Harrogate, battlefield PT is extremely important. So forget the fact that all you've got is a log, a jerry can and a tyre to take up a hill. That could be a 105 howitzer round, it could be a nice great big gun and something else to drag up a hill, all right? The fact is, it's difficult, it's uncomfortable, and they're going to have to split you into teams to do it. Now they picked the 2 team leaders for this, and they picked the dancing fella, because he'd been having a shocker, number 2, Brendan, he'd been having a shocker on some of the other stuff, all right? And they picked Joey Essex. Now Joey's doing all right for me at the moment, he's still doing all right, by the way, okay? So the 2 teams are under them. They split themselves up, they take them out. They've got to get X amount of gear to the top of this hill, all right? Joey's team up there, quite well organised from the start, and it showed, all right? He got amongst them, he got a grip, he got them up there, not a problem. Dancing fella, all right, Brendan, little bit of a different story, a little bit unorganised, not been able to get people to gel, yelling and screaming, but in the wrong areas at the wrong times. It showed. They fell behind, it was difficult. Not a nice task, getting all that gear up there. They were wet, they were cold, and when they got them back down again, like I say, it was obvious that some of them had mega struggled with it, mega struggled with it. But they were looking to Brendan to redeem himself from earlier, and unfortunately when he got back from the debrief later, he was the one that got axed from the show, okay? Now, there were 2 others, I think, got major warnings. Bellew was one of them. He had a bit of a tete-a-tete come handbags at dawn with Ant, all right? Tempers flare. Emotions run high. and it can be extremely difficult to keep your cool. Now, it never came to blows, okay, but there was a little bit of tension in the air, you could feel it. It's another fact of life, isn't it? It was dealt with, they moved on. I still think that Bellew, if he can grip himself and keep his emotions away from the show, will do okay. He's a fit, strong, competitive person, all right? He just needs to lose his emotions, and he needs to concentrate with the job in hand. So, how did we finish this show?
Everyone goes for a little swim.
Hey, I love a little splash around, and we are at ends, don't we? There you go. Yeah. Let's summarise this week. Some people are still going extremely strong. Some people are still floundering around a little bit unnoticed, but in the middle, still going. And obviously someone else went this week. It's eating up. It's in the bubbling pot. It's melting away. All right, who's going to be left? Next week's lining up to be a good episode again. I can't wait. Let's see how it pans out.